Hey everyone, we need to talk about Rick Nash here. And normally I don't like harping on players, I don't like ripping guys, because when it comes down to it, Rick Nash is playing in the NHL and I'm not. Rick Nash is making millions of dollars and I'm not. But that does not mean that he's not open to being criticized and criticism. And at this point, I think it's necessary and it's I don't want to. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just the Bruins need more from Rick Nash. For what they gave up to bring him in a trade, for what his salary is, Rick Nash has not lived up to his contract or the player being the player that many people thought that he could be. Um, and it's not just since the trade deadline. He was a disappointment in New York a lot of times as well, and he's notoriously bad in the playoffs. But I just want to focus on this series with Tampa Bay in particular because the Bruins are in a deep, deep hole, down 3 games to 1. I think they're done. Um, but in secondary scoring has been a big real reason for that. Even last night where the Bruins you know the game went to overtime and it was a close game and they were right there with Tampa Bay. Patrice Bergeron had two of their 3 goals, so it's still that top line that's doing everything. Secondary scoring has been a big problem, and when the Bruins brought in Rick Nash, they mainly did that because they needed another good scoring line, and he just has not given it to them. So here's Rick Nash's stats for this series. Game 1 was his only good game. He had 2 goals, no assists, so 2 points. He was +1, and he only played 12:55 in that game. That's because he didn't play a lot in the third period because it was a blowout game. So Boston played, they rested their top lines and played the bottom 6 for most of the third period. Um, Game 2, no goals, no assists, no points, even rating, and 16:01 of ice time. So a complete 0 in Game 2, and the Bruins lost that game. Bruins won Game 1 when he scored 2 goals. Game 3, no goals, 1 assist for 1 point, -1, and played 19:10. Bruins lost that game, 1 point, so not terrible, but they still lost that game, and he was -1. Game 4, no goals, no assists, no points, -1, and played 17:22. So far in the 4 games for this series, Nash has 2 goals, both came in game 1 assist for 3 points, and is -1. Um, that's not good enough. And it's just his whole line with Krejci and DeBrusque have not been good enough this series. And it's yes, Nash has done some good things. He's played well, along the boards, possessing the puck. He's made some good defensive plays in the playoffs in this series. But that's not what Rick Nash is here for. That's not what he's getting paid for. Yes, he can make good defensive plays. He can play along the wall really well. That's fine, and I'm glad he is. But he's taken some really dumb penalties. He's turned the puck over a bunch of times, and when it comes down to it, Rick Nash is getting paid for one thing, and that's this point column right here. That's it. That's what Rick Nash is here for, is to rack up points, and he has not done that. Um, yeah, out of the 4 games, he had one good game out of 4, where he has 3 points in 4 games, and that you would think, well, that's not terrible, but two of the 3 points came in game 1, and that was really his only good game. Games 2, 3, and 4, he has 1 point total and is -2 over that time. Um, the Bruins needed more from Rick Nash. They need more from Rick Nash now, but I think it's too late. Even if he has a good game 5, I think it's too late for the Bruins, and it's too late for Rick Nash. Again, I'm not trying to harp on him or rip the guy, but the Bruins just needed more from him in this series. If they were going to beat the Lightning, they needed more than one scoring line, and the Krejci, Nash, DeBrusk line could not do it. They did it in Game 1, and the Bruins won, and then since then they've been no-shows. And it's not just Nash. There's been a lot of no-shows this series. Krejci hasn't been good. David Backes hasn't been good. Riley Nash found himself out of the lineup last night because he's been so bad. Although I think he's playing with a major injury. Who knows? Maybe a lot of these guys are playing injured because this Bruins team has not looked like the Bruins team for most of this season in this series against Tampa. They just have not been good. But anyway, I just wanted to touch on Rick Nash because I was really, in the live stream last night, I was really giving it to him for his inability to do anything. And I just want to look at the stats, and he hasn't been good enough. So that's a major reason why the Bruins are in the position that they are, because Nash has not been good enough, and their secondary scoring as a whole has not been good enough. So that's just what I think. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. Check out offthewallhockey.com. All those links in the description. Added another 7 subscribers last night, so thank you to everyone who subbed. Up to 122 now. Let's keep that number climbing. Share this video. Tell your friends about this channel. Just try and keep everything growing. Thank you guys so much for watching, and talk to you soon.